1:23 p.m. on July 31st, 2017, and I happily call this meeting of the Parole Board of the State of New York to order. Let's begin, please, with a roll call, and I'll start, as I like to, down at this end, please.
Commissioner Julie Smith, present. Commissioner Sally Thompson, present.
Commissioner Parole, present.
Commissioner Ludlow, present.
Commissioner W. William Smith, present.
Kathy Kiley, counsel.
Tina Stanford, chairwoman.
Commissioner Tana Agostini, present.
Commissioner Thais Drake, present.
Commissioner Eric Berliner, present.
Commissioner Karen Demosthenes, present.
Commissioner Otis Cruz, present.
Commissioner Charles Davis, present.
And from our office, and Ms. Colucci, who is our great videographer for the purpose of our business meetings, is also an employee of the department. And I welcome our observers and members of the public who have joined us today. Looks like we have a nice contingent of you all. For those of you who are first-timers to our meetings, we don't take questions from the floor, but if you have any question about anything you hear during the course of this meeting, you're welcome to write to me at our state office address that's on the website, the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision website, and I will endeavor to answer your question if I'm able. Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to review our minutes from our June 26, 2017 meeting? And if so, I'd love to entertain a motion with respect to those minutes. Okay. Commissioner Julie Smith has moved to approve the minutes from June 26th of 2017. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded. I first heard Commissioner Agostini with a second. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes who are qualified to do so, please indicate by a show of hands. Okay. Are there any who abstain who were not present at the meeting? Abstain because of non-presence? Okay. Okay, we have, I believe, 3 abstentions. You as well, Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, the motion is carried. Thank you all. Thank you. The one other issue I wanted to discuss as a business matter is that at our last month's meeting, some of our public attendees were not allowed to bring their cell phones into the meeting. And I think there was some misunderstanding from security staff. What you may or may not realize is the training academy is exactly that. And at any given time, you have new parole officers or parole officer recruits, as well as corrections officer recruits training in this facility, and they are not allowed to bring their cell phones in the facility. I think that's by way of training them for their work in other facilities across the state. Whatever the reasons for that rule is, it does not apply to you, it does not apply to us. We apologize for the inconvenience of last month, but we actually made some calls after that meeting and confirmed that there is no prohibition for the public attendees who attend an open meeting pursuant to state law to bring their cell phones into the meeting. So thank you for your patience while we tried to clarify that, and that's for your information going forward, and ours as well. That is the only bit of old business that we've created a record of one way or the other. By way of new business, I'm happy to introduce to the public and to some of us on the board 3 new board members since last month's meeting. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce them in the order in which they joined our body. There were several that were confirmed on the same day or in the same week, but they've started on different days, and so in the order of their start date, I'd like to introduce to everyone Commissioner Thais Drake. And if you would please speak up nice and loud so that we can get you on the record. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I come from a background, a lot of different backgrounds, but I mainly come from the background of reentry. The last 5 years, I've worked in reentry. About 2.5 of those years, I worked as a clinical supervisor. Thank you. As a clinical supervisor, ensuring that we were adhering to the clinical program. I worked with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, New Jersey State. Actually, this is in New Jersey State Parole. Union and Essex counties to ensure that the clinical programming was actually running efficiently in the program across those various populations. And of those 5 years, I also worked strictly as a case manager for the federal population at that point. Before that, I worked a bit in juvenile justice. I worked in conjunction with ACS as in prevention. I've done a little bit of everything. And that's about it. Thank you.
Kindly pass the mic down to Commissioner Karen DeMott,
Karen Demosthenes, Commissioner. I have worked for Division of Parole / Community Supervision for approximately 30 years under numerous capacities. My last assignment was to supervise offenders who suffer from mental health until my retirement. Thank you.
please, Commissioner, kindly to Commissioner Davis.
Oh, thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Like the previous commissioner, I've had many years working with adult populations in forensic settings. I worked in Rikers Island. I work in youth detention centers. I worked in substance abuse programs. I have been a clinical director of many behavioral health centers across New York State, as well as at Washington, D.C. I come to this field to bring a level of expertise in terms of how best to sort of integrate behavioral health instruments into the work that we do. Oftentimes, we see offenders who are adversely impacted by trauma, mental health issues, and so how do we sort of acknowledge that by yet keeping the community safe and keeping the public secure? So thank you. Thank you.
Last month, we introduced Commissioner Berliner and Commissioner Agostini, who also have a wealth of excellent experience to offer to this body. And at some point, if it isn't already, we're going to get everyone's biographies up on the public website so that you can see what a truly dynamic group this has become and is becoming. We've got people from just about every discipline that the law allows us to draw from or suggests that we draw from, with the exception of just a couple now. And so I think we cover a great deal of a great breadth of experience between us. My initial impressions of our first few weeks together is encouraging. I trust that all of you feel the same. If anyone wants to give a testimonial to their experience working with any of the new folks, you're welcome to do so at this point. But I'm just delighted. Our numbers are up in very short order. Once training has been completed, we will, two-person panels will be a thing of the past, and that I am most delighted about. And not just for my sake and for our sake, but for the people who we interview, for their sake. Less of a likelihood of a lack of consensus, and more of an opportunity to be interviewed by people with a variety of experience that can benefit our work. So I'm very delighted about that. If anyone wants to say anything about their initial impressions, I'm happy to share that with our public. No? Okay. All right. Also, in terms of new business, I want to make you all aware of the fact that on August 17th, we have a wonderful opportunity for excellent training provided to us by the Vera Institute of Justice. And if you want more information about Vera, they're a phenomenal not-for-profit in New York State with national reach. They are a research body primarily, but sometimes their research spins off into pilots, it spins off into policy, and I've been most impressed with their work since I first became aware of them many years ago now. They are offering us training on medical parole. And in order to provide this training, they're working with nationally renowned partners. Briefly, they were awarded funds by the New York State Health Foundation to provide training and to conduct research and policy analysis. Their training is being offered by national experts in correctional medicine, geriatrics, and palliative care, and it will be offered to the Board of Parole. It has already been offered to the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision's health staff. And so they offered to do some training for us as well, and I was happy to accept. One of the partners with Vera is Dr. Tina Maschy, M-A-S-C-H-I, of the Fordham Graduate School of Social Work. They're hoping through the interaction with us, the discussion portion of the training, to better understand our decision-making on medical parole applications so that they can share that information and contribute to stronger and more successful medical parole applications in the future. In addition, as I said, they were working with the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision on related training and research into the internal DOCS process for identifying medical parole candidates and improving post-release outcomes for people released on medical parole and people who are released from the regional medical units within the department. The trainings are being developed additionally with Doctors Bree Williams and Rachel Bedard, physicians specializing in geriatric and palliative care, and Dr. Williams is an associate professor of medicine in the University of California, San Francisco Division of Geriatrics, founding director of the UC Criminal Justice and Health Consortium, and director of the Criminal Justice and Health Project at UCSF. Dr. Bedard is an assistant clinical professor of medicine at ICAHN, I-C-A-H-N, School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. They've proposed a half-day training for us. It will take place on August 17th. In preparation of that training, I've given them some cases that I could recall that may have had some interesting twists to them. They have a research agreement with the department, which allows them to have access to certain information for the purpose of this research and training. And so that part is covered in terms of our ethical obligations in terms of confidentiality through the department. They want to go over with us some of the following topics: a review of New York State's compassionate early release law, an introduction to the science, evidence base, and limitation of prognosis, introduction to end-of-life functional and cognitive trajectories among individuals with serious illness, a description of the barriers and facilitators in decision-making in the current compassionate release process according to correctional clinicians, a facilitated discussion of the barriers and facilitators to decision-making in the current compassionate release process according to us. They want to hear from us. And the generation of suggestions to improve the process according to us. So I'm really excited about this training. As I say, it'll be a half-day training. I think I've told them to anticipate a start time of approximately 10. We will try to record it, as we have been doing lately with many of our trainings that are very intense, so that it will be available to new board members as they come on, and board members who, for one reason or another, are unable to attend this training. I am respectfully requesting that you consider it a mandatory training. Therefore, it is one you will have to make up through viewing the video if you're unable to attend on the 17th of August. We also have been offered training, particularly in light of our new board members, by the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. They are happily offering us the opportunity for updated training on the Compass Risk and Needs assessment instruments that the department uses, not only in the facility at reception and at reentry, but also post-release, and bringing us up to speed with what they're doing with the instruments as of late, and updates, because updates are always happening, if not just to fix a technological glitch, to actually improve the instrument. So they can bring us up to date on that. Also, gender-specific assessments, and bringing us up to date with what they're doing for the female population as well. The Compass case plans, individualized program need assessment and program assignments, cognitive behavioral therapy, specifically thinking for a change and moving on, sex offender counseling treatment programs, and sex offender assessment tools, and legislative mandated programs such as earned eligibility program, merit time, and limited credit time allowance. So as you can see, it's very meaty. You can easily do a half-day or full-day training on any one of these topics by themselves. And so we'll just try to roll them out on a basis that allows us to get through our work week, have some training maybe once or twice a month on our off days, and get through this information quickly so that we can benefit from what we can learn from it as soon as possible. So that's the schedule of training that I hope to implement over the next several months. In addition, I know Kathy has made available training on our regulatory change that will be effective sometime within the next few months, to our regulations, our core regulations on how we do what we do. So I thank all of you who've made the time thus far to watch the training, or if you weren't able to be here in person for the training. So thank you very much for that. For those of you who have not yet, please do. And for keeping up with your training generally. The mandated statewide training, some of that training is available online, and as soon as we get you all online, you'll be able to participate in that. Other is in person here at the Training Academy. And then other is just very specific to the board. So we've got a lot to do. It's exciting to still be learning at my age, and I'm happy to do that. And I've heard no complaints, so I assume all of you are happy to learn some new things as well. So I don't have any other items of old business or new business for the public portion of the meeting. Kathy, do you have anything at this point?
Just, regarding the regulations, we are going to be getting ready to roll those out probably in the next month or so. So we're just right now looking at the state registers to target a date, but it's going to be very soon that it will be effective.
Mm-hmm. So again, thank you all for participating in the training, so that when that effective date kicks in, you'll be ready to govern yourselves accordingly in terms of the interviews and the written decisions. In terms of correspondence, announcements, and invitations, I did announce last month the resignation of Commissioner Elovich. We had a nice event for her on Friday night, and so it's official. And she had a lot of kind things to say about all of you and her time with us, which which was a little bit more than 10 years, somewhere between 10 and 11 years total. And I think she'll miss the work. And in addition to missing all of you, or correspondence to read at this month's meeting. And so with that, if no one else has any announcements they wish to make, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss matters of litigation with our counsel at this point. Okay. Commissioner Coppola has moved. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Cruz. Is there any further question or discussion? Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay. We are in executive session. Thank you.